Before you watch this, I need you to understand something. You've watched viral videos before. You've seen someone get fired, arrested, or destroyed because of a clip that's 30 seconds, 60 seconds, maybe 2 minutes long, and you believed what you saw. But viral videos don't show you everything. They show you what starts after someone decides to press record. And that timing, when the recording begins, controls the entire narrative. This is the story of a 17-year-old girl who understood that better than anyone. She planned a confrontation with her high school principal. She made sure it looked like assault. She ensured the recording started at exactly the right moment. And she destroyed his career with 90 seconds of footage that was missing 12 minutes of truth. Her name was Jordan Hayes, and she's about to teach you how easy it is to weaponize a timeline. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. We investigate real cases where ordinary people expose corrupt systems, and today's story is one of the most explosive we've ever covered. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for being here. Your support makes investigations like this possible. Now, here's how you can help us grow. Hit that like button right now. It tells YouTube to show this story to more people who need to see it. If you haven't subscribed yet, click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an investigation. And finally, drop a comment with your location and the time you're watching from. It helps us understand our global community, and we love seeing where these stories reach. March 15th, 2023, Franklin High School, Richmond, Virginia. At 3:47 p.m., a 90-second video started circulating online. By midnight, it had 8 million views. By morning, it had 15 million. The video showed a high school principal dragging a screaming teenage girl across a classroom floor. The comments were unanimous: fire him, arrest him, destroy him. And within 72 hours, all three were happening. But if stories about how truth gets buried in the timeline interest you, hit subscribe now, because this case will change how you watch every viral video for the rest of your life. Let's start with what 8 million people saw. 90 seconds, iPhone footage, timestamp, a classroom, 23 students, phones out, shouting. Center frame, Principal Marcus Chen, hand locked around a teenage girl's arm. The girl is Jordan Hayes, 17, honor student. She's screaming, "Get off me, you can't touch me, someone call the police." Chen doesn't respond, doesn't explain, doesn't release her. He pulls her toward the door. She resists. He pulls harder. She drops to the floor. He drags her. This moment, a grown man dragging a crying teenager across a classroom floor, would be screenshot, shared, and viewed 30 million times. The image was undeniable. A powerful adult man, a vulnerable teenage girl, physical force, public witnesses, and something else fueled the spread. Principal Marcus Chen is Asian American. Jordan Hayes is white. Within hours, the video had been reposted with captions suggesting racial motivation. The narrative took on a life of its own. By 6 p.m. that evening, #JusticeForJordan was trending in Virginia. By 9 p.m., it was trending nationally. The video had been viewed 2 million times, but the timestamp reveals something nobody noticed. The video starts at 12:47. The 911 call came in at 12:38. 9 minutes are missing. At 4:15 p.m., just 28 minutes after the video first appeared online, Franklin High School's superintendent placed Principal Chen on immediate administrative leave. At 6:30 p.m., Richmond police opened an investigation into potential assault charges. At 8 p.m., local news stations led their broadcasts with the story. By 10 p.m., Jordan Hayes' parents had retained an attorney. By midnight, Principal Marcus Chen's home address had been posted online. Protesters gathered outside. Someone spray-painted "child abuser" across his garage door. 8 million views, countless shares, infinite outrage, and not one person asked the question that would change everything. What happened in those 9 missing minutes? Dr. Sarah Kim noticed what 8 million viewers missed: the viral video timestamp, 12:40 p.m. The 911 call log, 12:30 minutes unaccounted for. Kim, Franklin High School board member, crisis management expert, opened a new note on her phone. She typed 3 words, "timeline gap." Why? That question would unravel everything. The school board called an emergency meeting for March 16th, the day after the incident. Before that meeting, Dr. Kim requested 3 things from the school administration. First, all security camera footage from March 15th between 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. Second, the 911 call audio. Third, a complete list of everyone who was in or near that classroom between 12:30 p.m. and 12:50 p.m. What she discovered would flip the entire narrative. Franklin High School has 47 security cameras throughout its building. They cover hallways, entrances, the cafeteria, the gymnasium, and all exterior doors, but they don't cover classrooms. District policy prohibits cameras in instructional spaces due to privacy concerns. This meant there was no footage of what happened inside the classroom before students started recording, but the hallway cameras told part of the story. At 12:33:14 p.m., security footage shows School Secretary Linda Garrison running, not walking, running from the front office toward Principal Chen's office. She's clearly distressed. Her hand is pressed against her chest as she moves. At 12:34 p.m., Principal Chen emerges from his office. The camera captures his expression, focused, concerned. He's moving quickly, but deliberately down the hallway. At 12:35 p.m., Chen enters the West Wing hallway where Jordan Hayes' Advanced Placement Literature classroom is located. The camera angle doesn't cover the classroom door itself, but the timestamp is clear. Principal Chen entered that classroom at approximately 12:35 p.m. The first student recording wouldn't begin until 12:46 p.m., 11 minutes unaccounted for. But investigators needed to understand why Chen had rushed to that classroom in the first place. The answer was in the 911 call. On March 17th, the 911 call audio was released to the School Board Investigation Committee. The call came from Linda Garrison, the school secretary, who had been captured on camera running to Principal Chen's office. The recording is 2 minutes and 14 seconds long. 911, what's your emergency? This is Linda Garrison calling from Franklin High School, 1847 Monument Avenue. We need police here immediately. What's the nature of the emergency, ma'am? There's a student. She's making threats. What kind of threats is she making? She's saying she's going to hurt herself. She's posted things online. We just found out. Principal Chen is going to her classroom right now. Is the student armed? I don't think so, but she's near the windows. 3rd floor. I'm scared she's going to... The audio cuts out for 3 seconds. When it returns, Garrison is crying. Please hurry. The call continues for 90 seconds. Then the dispatcher asks a question that nobody watching the viral video would think to ask. You said Principal Chen is going to her classroom. Is he removing her from the building? No. He's making sure she doesn't hurt herself. He's trained for this. So this is a wellness check, not a threat response? Yes. Wellness check. Police arrived at 12:52 p.m., 14 minutes after the wellness check was called in. But by then, 8 million people had already seen it labeled as assault. At this point, you might be thinking you know where this story is going, that the viral video was missing context, that Principal Chen was actually trying to help a suicidal student and the internet got it wrong. But what happened in that classroom between 12:35 and 12:47 was far more complicated than either a hero story or a villain story. Because by the time you see the full timeline, you'll realize that everyone, the students, the parents, the 8 million viewers, got it wrong, just not in the way you think. When the 911 call leaked on March 18th, headlines shifted. Principal assaults student became Principal intervenes in crisis, but at what cost? Students who recorded the incident gave identical statements to investigators. We started filming when we heard screaming. We didn't know what happened before. Except one. Ashley Martinez, the girl who filmed the viral video, told investigators something different. Jordan gave me her phone before Principal Chen arrived. That statement changed everything. Ashley Martinez walked into the interview room shaking, 16 years old, best friend to Jordan Hayes since freshman year, the person who pressed record. Her parents flanked her on both sides. Her hands wouldn't stop trembling. The investigator asked, "When did Jordan give you her phone?" Ashley's voice cracked. "During class, around 12:33. Why did she give it to you? Ashley started crying. Here's what Ashley told investigators. On the morning of March 15th, their AP Literature class began at 12:30 p.m. The teacher, Ms. Rodriguez, was reviewing essay structures for the upcoming AP exam. At approximately 12:33 p.m., Jordan turned to Ashley and handed her something under the desk. Her phone. Ashley asked what was going on. Jordan leaned close and whispered, "When he comes, I need you to start recording." "Recording what?" Ashley asked. "Just do it," Jordan said. "And don't start recording until after I start screaming." Ashley didn't understand, but she took the phone. 2 minutes later, Principal Chen walked into the classroom. But here's what investigators discovered next. At 12:37 p.m., according to Ashley's statement, Jordan gave her more specific instructions. "Leave the classroom," Jordan whispered. "Go to the bathroom or something. Come back in 5 minutes, and when you come back, start recording, but only when I'm already screaming. It needs to look real." Ashley asked what she was talking about. Jordan wouldn't explain. She just repeated, "Please, just trust me." Ashley took the phone and left the classroom at 12:39 p.m. She walked to the bathroom. She waited. At approximately 12:46 p.m., she heard screaming coming from the classroom. She ran back. She opened Jordan's phone. She started recording. She captured exactly what Jordan had wanted her to capture. A teenage girl being physically restrained by a male authority figure with no context, no explanation, and no visible evidence of the suicide attempt that had triggered the intervention. Ashley had been an unwitting participant in the setup. But investigators still needed to understand what had happened in those 11 minutes while Ashley was gone. The answer came from the deleted social media posts. When investigators obtained Jordan Hayes' phone, they immediately pulled her social media history. What they found was disturbing. Jordan had 3 active social media accounts: Instagram, Twitter, and a private Snapchat she used with close friends. Between 11 a.m. and 12:28 p.m. on March 15th, Jordan had posted and then deleted a series of messages. 11:47 a.m., Instagram story, deleted at 11:52 a.m. Can't do this anymore. Everything is broken. 12:50 p.m., Twitter, deleted at 12 p.m. They'll all see. They'll finally understand. Snapchat sent to close friends group, deleted at 12th post. Last post. I'm sorry. The posts were deleted before most of her followers saw them. But they weren't deleted before the school's social media monitoring system flagged them. Franklin High School, like many schools across America, used software that monitored student social media for keywords associated with self-harm, violence, or threats. Words like suicide, goodbye, can't go on, and last post triggered automatic alerts. At 12:31 p.m., the system sent an alert to the school's administrative office. Secretary Linda Garrison saw the alert. She immediately printed the flagged posts and ran them to Principal Chen's office. By 12:35 p.m., Chen was entering Jordan's classroom. Jordan had engineered the entire sequence. She'd posted suicidal content knowing it would be flagged. She'd positioned herself near an open window on the 3rd floor. She'd given her phone to her best friend with instructions to record, but only after the intervention had already begun. She'd created a situation that would require physical intervention, then ensured that intervention would be filmed without context. But investigators still needed to understand why. The answer was in Jordan's journal. Jordan Hayes kept a journal. It was a physical notebook, leather-bound, filled with her thoughts, fears, college application stress, and day-to-day observations. When police obtained the journal as part of the investigation, they found entries that painted a troubling picture. March 11th entry, the day Jordan learned Stanford was reviewing her case. Principal Chen called me into his office again today. He said Stanford contacted the school about my suspension. He looked disappointed, like I'd let him down. He keeps asking if I'm okay. I'm not okay. I'll never be okay. He doesn't understand what he's done to me. March 14th entry, the day she received Stanford's denial. It's official. Stanford rejected me. 4 years of work destroyed because Principal Chen decided to enforce some rule. He ruined my life. Mom and Dad are devastated. They keep saying it's not my fault, but it is. And it's his fault too. He could have given me a warning. He could have not reported it, but he chose to destroy my future. If he thinks he can just walk away from this, he's wrong. Everyone needs to see who he really is. March 15th entry, written at 7:23 a.m., 5 hours before the incident. The entry starts, "Last day, I can't do this anymore." Investigators initially read this as pure suicidal ideation, but then forensic analysis revealed something. The ink density changed mid-entry. Jordan had stopped writing, then picked up the pen again hours later. The entry continued at 11:54 a.m. "But before I go, I need to make sure he pays for what he did. I've planned everything, the posts, the timing, the witnesses. When it's over, everyone will know. He won't be able to hide behind his 'I was just doing my job' excuse. They'll all see him for what he is." The last line, written at 11:54 a.m., "By tonight, everyone will know his name, and they'll hate him as much as I do." She wasn't planning to die quietly. She was planning to take him with her. But investigators needed to understand what Chen had done that made Jordan hate him so much. The answer was the suspension. 2 weeks before the March 15th incident, Principal Chen had suspended Jordan Hayes for academic dishonesty. On March 1st, a teacher reported suspected cheating on an AP calculus exam. Multiple students had identical wrong answers, not just similar approaches, but word-for-word identical responses, including the same mathematical errors. An investigation determined that 5 students had shared answers using a group chat the night before the exam. Jordan Hayes was one of those students. Franklin High School's academic integrity policy was clear. First offense for cheating resulted in a 0 on the assignment and a 3-day suspension. Principal Chen enforced the policy. Jordan received a 0 on the exam and was suspended from March 3rd through March 5th. But the consequences didn't stop there. Jordan Hayes had been accepted to Stanford University with early admission. It was her dream school. She'd worked toward it for 4 years. Perfect GPA, leadership positions, volunteer work, stellar essays. Her acceptance letter arrived in December. She'd committed to attending in January. But Stanford's acceptance was conditional. Like most universities, Stanford included language in their acceptance letters. This offer is contingent upon successful completion of your senior year coursework and maintenance of the academic and personal standards reflected in your application. When Franklin High School reported Jordan's suspension for academic dishonesty to Stanford's admissions office, as they were required to do, Stanford reviewed her case. On March 11th, 4 days before the viral video incident, Stanford sent Jordan a letter. Her acceptance was rescinded. Due to a violation of academic integrity standards, the letter read, "We are unable to offer you admission to Stanford University for the fall 2023 term." Jordan's parents appealed the decision. They argued that the punishment was disproportionate, that Jordan had made a single mistake under stress, that she deserved a second chance. Stanford denied the appeal on March 14th. Jordan received the denial letter at 3:47 p.m. on March 14th, less than 24 hours before the incident with Principal Chen. And now investigators understood the motive. Forensic psychiatrist Dr. Patricia Okonkwo evaluated Jordan for 6 weeks. Her clinical conclusion, submitted April 30th, Jordan Hayes experienced simultaneous suicidal crisis and calculated revenge plot. These states are not mutually exclusive. Adolescents in severe distress can hold contradictory intentions, genuine desire for death, alongside meticulous planning for harm to others. Jordan wanted to die. Jordan also wanted Principal Chen to suffer. Both were real. The assessment included a chilling detail. Jordan's journal showed she'd researched 2 things in the week before March 15th, painless suicide methods, and Virginia's laws on educator misconduct. Dr. Okonkwo's report continued. The plan, according to my assessment, had been sophisticated for a 17-year-old. Jordan posted suicidal content online, knowing the school's monitoring system would flag it. She positioned herself near the window, creating genuine danger that would require physical intervention. She gave her phone to her best friend with instructions to record. She waited until Principal Chen arrived and began his intervention. Then she escalated the situation, screaming and resisting, ensuring the recordings would capture what looked like assault rather than suicide prevention. The report concluded, the tragedy here is that Jordan was both a victim and a perpetrator. She was a victim of mental illness, of academic pressure, of adolescent despair. but she was also the architect of Principal Chen's public destruction. Both things are true. But investigators still needed to know exactly what happened inside that classroom during the 11 unrecorded minutes. The answer came from Principal Chen himself. Principal Marcus Chen gave his first official statement on March 20th, 5 days after the incident. His attorney was present. His statement was recorded and transcribed. At 12:35 p.m., Chen opened the door to Ms. Rodriguez's AP Literature class. 23 students looked up. Chen asked to speak with Ms. Rodriguez in the hallway. He showed her the flagged social media posts. He explained the situation. Jordan Hayes had posted content suggesting imminent self-harm. Chen needed to assess the situation and ensure Jordan's safety. Ms. Rodriguez confirmed that Jordan was present and seemed withdrawn. She authorized Chen to speak with Jordan in the classroom. Chen returned to the room. He walked directly to Jordan's desk. According to Chen's statement, this is what he said. "Jordan, I need you to come with me. We need to talk." Jordan looked up at him. Chen would later describe her expression as eerily calm. She smiled. Then she said, loud enough for nearby students to hear, "I didn't post anything, Principal Chen. I think you're confused." Students looked up from their desks. A few exchanged glances. Chen leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Jordan, I saw the posts. The system flagged them. I know you're hurting, but I need you to come with me so we can keep you safe." Jordan stood up, still smiling. "You're scaring me, Principal Chen." Then she turned toward the window. Chen realized in that moment she was performing. Jordan Hayes' AP Literature classroom was on the 3rd floor of Franklin High School's West Wing. The windows in that classroom are large, 6 feet tall, 4 feet wide, and they open outward for ventilation. On March 15th, it was unseasonably warm for Richmond in March, high of 68 degrees. Miss Rodriguez had opened 3 of the classroom windows before class started. Jordan's desk was positioned 4 feet from the nearest window. When she stood up and moved toward the window, Principal Chen's training kicked in. Chen had completed crisis intervention training 3 years earlier as part of his role as the school's mental health liaison. The training included specific protocols for suicide prevention. One of those protocols, create physical distance between the individual and the means of harm. Chen stepped between Jordan and the window. According to his statement, Jordan tried to move around him. He blocked her path again. "Let me go," Jordan said. "I can't do that," Chen replied. "Jordan, please, step back from the window." Jordan's voice rose. "You don't get to tell me what to do." Chen kept his voice calm. "I'm not trying to control you. I'm trying to keep you safe." That's when Jordan started screaming. "Don't touch me! Get away from me!" Chen hadn't touched her yet. He was standing between her and the window, hands at his sides, blocking her path. But Jordan's screaming had the desired effect. Students started paying attention. Phones came out. According to Principal Chen's statement, Jordan tried to push past him 3 times. Each time, he repositioned himself to block the window. On the 4th attempt, Jordan lunged toward the window opening. That's when Chen grabbed her arm. His right hand closed around her left upper arm. Firm grip, not violent, but unmistakably physical. Jordan immediately started screaming louder. "He's touching me! He's hurting me! Someone help me!" Chen maintained his grip. "Jordan, I need you to step away from the window. Let go of me. I will as soon as you move away from the window." Jordan planted her feet. She pulled against his grip, trying to wrench free. Chen didn't let go. This is the moment when most of the student recordings begin. Timestamp approximately 12:46 p.m. Ashley Martinez had returned from the bathroom. She heard the screaming. She opened Jordan's phone. She started recording. For the next 60 seconds, Chen held Jordan's arm while she screamed and struggled. He was attempting to move her toward the classroom door, away from the window. Jordan resisted every step. At 12:43, she dropped to the floor. Chen, still gripping her arm, had to make a split-second decision. Let her go and risk her returning to the window, or maintain his hold and pull her away from danger. He chose the latter. That's when the dragging began. That's the image that went viral. And that's when Jordan Hayes said something that wouldn't be noticed until much later. Audio forensics experts wouldn't analyze the viral video until March 27th, 12 days after the incident. When they did, they discovered something buried in the background noise. At timestamp 12:40:78, while Jordan is being dragged across the floor, she says something that wasn't audible in the original viral video. The experts used noise reduction software to isolate her voice. Here's what she said, speaking directly to Principal Chen as he dragged her toward the door. "If you don't let me go, I'll make sure everyone sees this. I'll tell them you assaulted me." Chen's response is also barely audible, but the enhanced audio captures it. "I don't care what you tell them. I'm not letting you hurt yourself." This exchange happens at the very end of the viral video, in the final 3 seconds before the recording cuts off. It would take investigators nearly 2 weeks to uncover it. But once they did, the entire narrative shifted again. Jordan had explicitly threatened to frame the intervention as assault, and Chen had chosen to save her life anyway, knowing the cost. But there was still one piece missing from the timeline. What happened at 12:39 p.m. when Ashley left the classroom? March 24th. Investigators reviewed hallway footage for the 15th time. One detective noticed something. 12:39 p.m., a student exits Jordan's classroom, visible for 3 seconds, carrying an object. "Zoom in," the detective said. The tech enhanced the image. iPhone. Turquoise case. Jordan Hayes owned a turquoise iPhone case. The student carrying it wasn't Jordan. It was Ashley Martinez. Jordan had given her phone to the person who would film her rescue 8 minutes before the rescue began. March 24th, 2:15 p.m. Ashley Martinez sat across from 2 investigators. They slid a photograph across the table. Security camera still. Timestamp 12:39 p.m. Ashley in the hallway, holding a phone. "That's not your phone," the investigator said. "That's Jordan's." Ashley stared at the photo. Her hands started shaking. "Why were you carrying Jordan's phone 8 minutes before you started recording?" Ashley's voice came out as a whisper. "Because she told me to leave." "Why?" "So I wouldn't see what happened before." Ashley looked up, tears streaming. "She didn't want me to know she was setting him up. She needed me to think he just attacked her. So I'd film it like it was real." Pause. "Because if I'd known, I wouldn't have pressed record." Ashley had walked out of that classroom thinking she was helping her best friend. She walked back in 5 minutes later and destroyed a man's career, and she never knew she was being used until investigators showed her the timestamp. 12:39 p.m., the moment Jordan turned her into a weapon. March 28th, psychiatric ward interview room. Jordan Hayes sat between her parents, eyes red from crying. She'd been hospitalized immediately after the March 15th incident and placed under psychiatric observation. She was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and acute suicidal ideation. But by March 28th, she was stable enough to be interviewed. The investigator opened the file. "Jordan, we need to ask you about March 15th. Silence. "Did you plan what happened in that classroom?" Jordan nodded. "We need verbal confirmation for the recording." "Yes," her voice barely audible. "I planned it." "The social media posts? I knew the system would flag them." "Positioning yourself by the window? I knew he'd have to stop me." "Giving Ashley your phone? I needed her to record it, but only after it started. She couldn't know." The investigator paused. "Why?" Jordan looked up, tears streaming. "Stanford took everything from me. He's the one who reported me, so I wanted to take everything from him." Her mother gasped. "But you were also genuinely suicidal," the investigator said. "Dr. Okonkwo confirmed that." "I was." Jordan's voice broke. "I wanted to die, but I also wanted him to pay. Both things were true." The investigator asked one final question. "If Principal Chen hadn't stopped you, would you have jumped?" Jordan stared at the table for 37 seconds. The silence was recorded. Finally, "I don't know. Maybe I wanted to see if he'd let me." She turned her suicide attempt into a test. If Chen failed, she'd have died vindicated. If he passed, she'd ruin him anyway. Either outcome worked. Now you might be wondering, if Jordan Hayes planned this, if she wanted to destroy Principal Chen's career as part of her final act, does that make what the viral video showed acceptable? Does context erase what 8 million people watched? Here's where this story gets even more complicated. Because the timeline has one more gap. And in that gap is the moment that changed everything. The moment that neither Jordan nor Chen nor anyone watching the video knew about. At 12:39 p.m., something happened that nobody, not Jordan, not Chen, not the millions of viewers, realized would become the smoking gun. A 3-second moment captured by a hallway camera that nobody thought to check. Until they did. The investigation was supposed to be confidential, but on March 30th, someone leaked Jordan's confession to the media. Within hours, the story had completely flipped. News outlets that had led with principal assaults student were now running headlines like student admits to fabricating assault claims and viral video was set up, investigation reveals. The same social media accounts that had demanded Principal Chen's termination were now demanding apologies. The hashtag Justice for Jordan was replaced with What Really Happened, and the viral video, which had reached 8 million views, started climbing again. But this time, people were watching it with different eyes. They were looking for evidence they'd missed the first time. When news broke that Jordan had orchestrated the confrontation, the backlash was swift. Comments on the viral video shifted from "fire this principal" to "this girl is a liar." Jordan's social media accounts were flooded with hate, death threats, accusations of ruining an innocent man's life. Some people defended her, arguing that she'd been in genuine crisis, that her mental illness explained her actions. Others argued that mental illness wasn't an excuse for false accusations, that she'd weaponized her own suicide attempt, that she deserved to face consequences. The divide was sharp, and neither side was entirely wrong. On April 2nd, Principal Marcus Chen gave his first public statement since being placed on administrative leave. He appeared at a press conference with his attorney. He read from a prepared statement. On March 15th, I intervened to prevent a student from taking her own life. I used physical force because I believed it was necessary to keep her safe. I would make the same choice again. He paused, then continued. I've learned that this student was experiencing a mental health crisis and was not thinking clearly. I don't blame her for what happened. I blame a system that puts so much pressure on young people that they reach a breaking point. He didn't mention the setup. He didn't mention Jordan's confession. He didn't mention the fact that she'd planned to destroy his career. Instead, he said, I hope Jordan gets the help she needs, and I hope we can all learn from this. The reporters asked if he planned to sue Jordan or her family. Chen's answer? No. She's a child who was suffering. That's not something you sue someone for. The internet didn't know what to do with that response. The man who'd been dragged through the mud, who'd had his home vandalized, who'd watched his reputation get destroyed in real time, he was refusing to seek revenge. Some people called him a saint. Others called him weak. But Principal Chen wasn't interested in either label. He just wanted his job back. On April 15th, exactly 1 month after the incident, the Franklin High School board met to determine Principal Chen's fate. The meeting lasted 4 hours. Parents packed the auditorium. Some wore shirts that said, "Reinstate Chen." Others held signs demanding his termination. The arguments on both sides were passionate. Those calling for Chen's reinstatement argued that he'd followed protocol, that he'd saved a student's life, that he'd been vilified for doing his job. Those calling for his termination argued that regardless of context, the optics were too damaging. That the video, regardless of what had happened before it started, showed a male principal using physical force on a female student. That the community's trust had been broken. The school board deliberated for 2 hours in closed session. The vote was 5-4 in favor of reinstatement. But there were conditions. Principal Chen would be required to complete additional training in de-escalation techniques. He would be assigned a mental health liaison to work alongside him. He would be on probationary status for 1 year, and he would return to Franklin High School on April 22nd. April 22nd, 2023. Principal Marcus Chen walked through the front doors of Franklin High School for the first time in 5 weeks. Half the student body was waiting for him. Some held signs, "Welcome back, Principal Chen." Others staged a walkout in protest. The local news covered it live. Chen didn't speak to the cameras. He simply walked into his office and got back to work. But nothing was the same. In July 2023, a digital forensics expert named Dr. Ramon Santos decided to analyze the viral video using advanced audio enhancement technology. Dr. Santos wasn't part of the official investigation. He was a researcher studying viral content and misinformation. Jordan and Chen's case had become one of his primary examples. Using noise reduction software, audio isolation techniques, and frequency analysis, Dr. Santos was able to pull previously inaudible sounds from the video's audio track. What he discovered changed the story one more time. Dr. Santos isolated Chen's voice from the background noise. Timestamp 12:47:4. 20 seconds before the viral video begins. Chen's words, previously inaudible. Jordan, I know you're hurting. I know you're angry at me, but I'm not letting you do this. Pause. Jordan doesn't respond. Please step away from the window. Longer pause. Then, I'm going to help you, even if you hate me for it. These words were spoken before any physical contact, before the grabbing, before the dragging, before the moment that 30 million people saw. Chen had tried de-escalation first, but Jordan needed him to fail. So she didn't step away from the window, she moved toward it. The enhanced audio revealed Chen's exact words, I'm going to help you, even if you hate me for it. He'd told her his plan, and she'd weaponized his compassion. Because she knew that a man saying, I'm going to help you, while grabbing a crying girl, would look like everything except help. There's one more piece of footage that never went viral. At 12:52 p.m., Richmond police officer David Tran arrived at Franklin High School in response to the 911 call. Officer Tran wore a body camera. The footage from that camera was included in the investigation file, but was never released publicly. In September 2023, portions of that footage were leaked to media outlets. Here's what it showed. Officer Tran entered the classroom at 12:52:14 p.m. By that point, the viral video had ended. Most students had left the room or were standing near the door. Principal Chen was still in the classroom. He was sitting in a chair near the teacher's desk. Jordan Hayes was sitting on the floor near the window, her back against the wall. She was crying. Officer Tran approached Chen first. Sir, I need you to step outside. Chen stood up. Officer, I need to explain. Outside, sir. Now. As Chen walked toward the door, Jordan spoke. He didn't hurt me, she said. Officer Tran turned to her. Ma'am? He didn't hurt me, Jordan repeated. He was trying to help me. I was going to jump. He stopped me. Pause. I told him I'd say he assaulted me. I wanted to hurt him, but he didn't hurt me. He saved me. Officer Tran's body camera recorded Jordan's confession at 12:52 p.m., 5 minutes after the viral video ended, but Officer Tran's footage wasn't reviewed until March 18th, 3 days later. By that point, the viral video had 8 million views. Principal Chen had been suspended. Jordan had become a symbol of victimhood. Chen's home address had been posted online. Protesters had vandalized his property. The truth existed on a police body camera. But nobody watched it until the lie had already circled the globe. Mark Twain was right. A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes. In this case, the lie had 8 million views before the truth was even discovered. So here's where we are. A principal saved a student's life and lost his career, temporarily. A student attempted suicide and weaponized her own rescue, then confessed. And 30 million people watched 90 seconds of footage and thought they knew the truth. But there's one more thing the timeline reveals. Something about those missing 12 minutes that changes how we have to think about every viral video we've ever seen. Because the gap wasn't accidental, it was engineered. When investigators completed their full timeline reconstruction in August 2023, they produced a minute-by-minute account of March 15th. Here's what that timeline showed. 12:28 p.m. Jordan posts, "Goodbye." Message on social media, then deletes it. 12 p.m. School monitoring system flags Jordan's posts. Alert sent to administration. Secretary Linda Garrison sees alert, runs to Principal Chen's office. Principal Chen enters Jordan's classroom. Jordan hands her phone to Ashley Martinez with recording instructions. Ashley leaves classroom with Jordan's phone. 11 minutes of crisis intervention. Not recorded. Toward p.m., Ashley returns to classroom after hearing screaming. Ashley begins recording. This is what went viral. Recording ends. Police arrive. Officer's body camera captures Jordan's confession. The gap between 12:30 and 46 wasn't random. It was the time Jordan needed to create the setup. She needed Principal Chen to arrive. She needed him to begin the intervention. She needed the situation to escalate to the point where physical contact became necessary. And then, only then, she needed the recording to begin. Because if the recording had captured the full intervention, viewers would have seen Chen trying to talk Jordan down calmly, Jordan moving toward the window, Chen blocking her path, Jordan escalating and provoking, Chen's measured, professional response. Instead, the recording captured only the moment of physical force, with no context, and that's exactly what Jordan had planned. Dr. Maria Chen is a professor of media studies at the University of Virginia, no relation to Principal Chen. In November 2023, she published a paper using the Franklin High School incident as a case study in viral misinformation. Her central argument, the gap between an event and its recording, is where truth is lost. She wrote, "We've entered an era where recording everything seems like it should give us access to truth, but selective recording, choosing when to start and stop the camera, can be more deceptive than having no recording at all." In Jordan Hayes' case, the recording was weaponized, but in most viral videos, the gap isn't intentional. It's simply a function of when someone thought to pull out their phone. Yet that gap, those unrecorded minutes or seconds, often contains the context that explains everything. Dr. Chen's paper included an analysis of 50 viral confrontation videos from 2022 to 2023. In 47 of those 50 cases, additional footage or testimony revealed context that significantly changed the narrative presented in the viral clip. In other words, almost every viral video is incomplete. Here's something interesting about viral content. The original video gets millions of views. The follow-up correction gets thousands. In Jordan and Principal Chen's case, original viral video, 22 million views. News segment explaining full context, 340,000 views. Dr. Santos' enhanced audio analysis, 89,000 views. Jordan's confession coverage, 210,000 views. The vast majority of people who saw the original video never saw the corrections. They never learned that Jordan had planned the confrontation. They never heard the enhanced audio proving Chen had tried to de-escalate. They never saw Officer Tran's body camera footage of Jordan's immediate confession. They saw 90 seconds. They formed an opinion. They moved on. This is the reality of viral content in the digital age. Corrections don't go viral. Outrage does. In a December 2023 interview, Principal Chen was asked what he'd learned from the experience. "I learned that you can do everything right and still lose," he said. "I followed my training. I saved a student's life, and I still had to watch my reputation get destroyed in real time." He paused. "But I also learned that truth eventually matters. It doesn't travel as fast as lies. It doesn't get as many views. But for the people who care enough to look for it, it's there." When asked what advice he'd give to others in similar situations, his answer was sobering. Assume you're being recorded. Assume the recording will be taken out of context. Assume the worst possible interpretation will be the one that spreads, and do the right thing anyway. Because at the end of the day, you have to live with your choices, and I can live with mine. Jordan Hayes did not return to Franklin High School. After her psychiatric hospitalization, her parents enrolled her in an alternative education program where she could complete her senior year online. She graduated in June 2023. She did not attend a graduation ceremony. Stanford's rejection was permanent, but she applied to other universities for the following year. In her application essays, she wrote about mental health, accountability, and the gap between who we are in crisis and who we want to become. She was accepted to the University of Virginia for fall 2024. By early 2024, Jordan Hayes had been in intensive therapy for nearly a year. She gave a single interview to a mental health advocacy organization in February 2024. She talked about the shame of what she'd done, the guilt of nearly destroying an innocent man's career, the weight of knowing millions of people had a permanent record of her worst moment. But she also talked about healing. "I was in genuine crisis," she said. "The pain I felt was real. The suicidal thoughts were real. But that doesn't excuse weaponizing my crisis against someone who was trying to help me. Principal Chen saved my life. Then I tried to ruin his. I'll carry that for the rest of my life. When asked if she'd forgiven herself, she said, "I'm working on it. Some days are better than others." She was asked if she'd spoken to Principal Chen since the incident. "I wrote him a letter," she said. "I apologized. I told him I understood if he could never forgive me." He wrote back. He said he already had. Ashley Martinez gave one interview to a Richmond newspaper in May 2023. She talked about the guilt she felt for recording the video, for not questioning Jordan's instructions, for being part of the setup, even unknowingly. "I was Jordan's best friend," Ashley said. "I should have known something was wrong. I should have asked more questions. Instead, I just did what she asked, and now Principal Chen's life is permanently changed because I pressed record." The reporter asked if she'd spoken to Jordan since the incident. Ashley shook her head. "I tried. She won't talk to me. I don't blame her. I recorded the worst moment of her life and posted it online. Even if she asked me to, I should have known better." What happened to the other students who filmed the incident? There were at least 7 different recordings from 7 different phones that day. Some deleted their videos immediately after learning the full context. Others kept them, unsure what the right thing to do was. One student told a researcher, "I still have the video on my phone. I don't know why." Maybe as a reminder that things aren't always what they look like. As of 2025, the original viral video has been viewed more than 30 million times across all platforms. It's been reposted, analyzed, and discussed millions more times. YouTube videos breaking down the incident have collectively garnered another 15 million views. The story has been referenced in academic papers on media literacy, viral justice, and digital ethics. It's been used as a teaching tool in journalism classes as an example of incomplete narratives. And it continues to circulate, often with no context about what happened before or after the 90 seconds captured on camera. New viewers discover it daily, and most of them never learn the full story. Here's the reality of viral videos in 2025. They don't disappear. Jordan Hayes' name is forever linked to the incident. A Google search of her name returns thousands of results. The video, the confession, the analysis. Principal Marcus Chen's name is similarly marked. Employers who search for him will find the video. Parents considering enrolling their children at Franklin High will find the video. The video has been archived. It's been downloaded and re-uploaded countless times. Even if the original poster deleted it, it would still exist in 1,000 other places. This is the permanence of digital content, and it's the price both Jordan and Chen are paying years later. Principal Marcus Chen still works at Franklin High School. In 2025, he'll celebrate his 20th year with Richmond Public Schools. He's still recognized in public. The comments are still split between support and condemnation. His wife says they've learned to live with it. "It's part of our life now," she said in an interview. The video will never go away. The internet has a permanent memory. We've just had to make peace with that. Chen's daughter graduated high school in 2024 and went to college out of state. She wanted a fresh start somewhere nobody knew the story, Chen said. "I understand that." When asked if he has any regrets, Chen's answer is always the same. "I regret that the situation happened. I regret that Jordan was in that much pain. I regret the public spectacle. But I don't regret my actions. I'd do it again." What can we learn from the Franklin High School incident? First, viral videos are almost always incomplete. The moment someone decides to press record is rarely the moment the story actually begins. Second, context matters. But context doesn't travel at the same speed as outrage. Third, everyone in a viral video is a human being. They're not characters. They're not memes. They're people whose lives extend beyond the 90 seconds you saw on your screen. Fourth, mental health crises are complex. Jordan Hayes was both genuinely suicidal and deliberately manipulative. Both things can be true. Fifth, doing the right thing doesn't protect you from consequences. Principal Chen saved a life and nearly lost his career. Sometimes that's the price of integrity. And finally, once something goes viral, it's permanent. The video will exist forever. The context might eventually emerge, but it will never reach as many people as the original clip. Even now, years later, questions remain. Was Principal Chen right to physically restrain Jordan? Legally, yes. Ethically, most experts agree yes. But the optics will forever tell a different story. Should Jordan face legal consequences for false accusations? She was in crisis. She was 17. She confessed. The district attorney declined to press charges, citing her mental state and age. Should the students who filmed and posted the video bear any responsibility? They were teenagers capturing what they thought was abuse. How could they have known? These questions don't have clean answers, and maybe that's the point. Real life is messy, context is complicated, and truth doesn't fit neatly into 90-second clips. Here's the complete timeline nobody saw. 12:28 p.m., Jordan posts goodbye, then deletes it. 12:30 p.m., school monitoring system flags the post. Chen enters classroom. 12:37 p.m., Jordan gives Ashley her phone. Ashley leaves with phone. 12:46 p.m., 11 minutes of crisis intervention, not recorded. 12:46 p.m., Ashley returns. Recording begins. This is what went viral. 14 p.m., recording ends. 50 p.m., Jordan confesses to police. 30 million people saw 90 seconds. 2 minutes of video destroyed a career. 11 minutes of compassionate intervention were invisible. 5 minutes of confession came too late. The gap wasn't an accident, it was the plan. In April 2024, Jordan Hayes and Principal Marcus Chen met face-to-face for the first time since the incident. The meeting was private, no cameras, no recording, just two people whose lives had been permanently altered by 90 seconds of viral video. Neither has publicly disclosed what was said in that meeting. But afterward, Chen told a reporter, "We both needed that conversation. I think we both found some peace." Jordan said in a separate interview, "I needed to look him in the eye and apologize. Not through a letter, not through a lawyer, face to face. He deserved that." When asked if Chen had forgiven her, Jordan said, "He told me he forgave me a long time ago, that he understood I was in crisis, that he never blamed me." Pause. I don't know if I've forgiven myself yet. The Franklin High School incident changed lives. Jordan Hayes will carry the weight of what she did for the rest of her life. But she's also using that weight to help others, advocating for mental health awareness and digital literacy. Principal Marcus Chen's reputation will never fully recover, but he continues to show up every day, doing the job he believes in. Ashley Martinez learned that the power to record comes with responsibility. She now works as a social media coordinator for a mental health nonprofit, using her understanding of viral culture to promote accurate information. And the 30 million people who watched the video? Most of them moved on to the next viral clip, the next outrage, the next incomplete story. But maybe, just maybe, some of them learned to ask questions before sharing. Here's the truth that the timeline reveals. You can save someone's life and still be vilified. You can be in genuine crisis and still cause harm. You can record reality and still miss the truth. The gap between 12:35 and 12:47 on March 15, 2023 contained 12 minutes of complexity that couldn't be reduced to a viral moment. But we live in a world that demands simplicity. Heroes and villains, right and wrong, viral or irrelevant. The Franklin High School incident reminds us that reality doesn't fit those categories. Principal Chen wasn't a hero or a villain. He was a professional doing his job under impossible circumstances. Jordan Hayes wasn't purely a victim or purely a perpetrator. She was a teenager in crisis who made terrible choices. And the truth wasn't in the viral video. It was in the timeline that nobody watched. Before you share the next viral video, ask yourself, what happened before record was pressed? What am I not seeing? Who benefits from the gap? Jordan Hayes planned that gap. She weaponized it. And it worked. Because outrage spreads faster than context. Judgment spreads faster than investigation. And 90 seconds of video will always travel further than 12 minutes of truth. If this story changed how you'll watch viral videos, share it. If you've ever rushed to judgment and later regretted it, leave a comment and subscribe, because every viral video has a gap, and the gap is where the truth lives. Sometimes those 12 minutes that nobody recorded matter more than the 90 seconds that went viral.